I'm gonna be honest, I see a lot of dudes actually say, oh, I like to squat 60 kilos because I like to focus on mind muscle connection so I don't go heavier than that. It's mad. You squat 60 kilos because obviously you want to focus on mind muscle connection, but you don't do that for bench press. You don't do that for any upper body movements. It's only the lower body ones. That's actually mad. You think about it, it's mad. I wonder why that is. Obviously, it's a new video because you're currently watching my face on the YouTube on the line. We're going to have a look at Kim French, somebody who I believe I've kind of covered briefly in the past, but somebody has popped up in the DMs a few times recently and in the Discord. Before we do, a couple of things as you know. Goes without saying, light goal absolutely obliterated in the last video, so thank you so much for that. I do really appreciate it. We're going to repeat the light goal and the challenge because I'm still questioning whether I'm actually tolerable enough to bump it up yet. So that's the challenge. 750 likes in 24 hours is what we're going to shoot for, and if we can get that, it shows to be that you like these types of videos. I want to see more of them, so that'll be bloody splendid. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, because we are tickling right now 30,000 subscribers, which is bloody insane, bloody madness. So again, thank you for that. At the end of the video, I'll obviously answer a question from the comment section. Drop it down below in the comment section if you want me to answer a question at the end of the next video. Yes. The Halloween-y kind of themed dark hat stuff October continues. I thought it included a wig. It doesn't include a wig, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But nonetheless, I might tickle her nose with this, you know. Boom, boom, boom. We'll crack on with the video. Kim French, person from the UK, NASM CPT. So she's qualified, we like to see that. All right, so we have an inner thigh workout here, the adductors. Let's have a gander. So basically this is a good morning variation, a seated good morning. Would I personally do it at all? I have done it when I was powerlifting and I wanted to place a lot of emphasis on my lower back because it was very weak due to previous injuries. Realistically, would I do it again now? Probably not. I don't think it's a fantastic movement. I think the good morning itself is a pretty solid movement. Again, not my favourite. I prefer an RDL. It's not really it, to be honest. Like, technique is fine. I can't argue with like the neutral spine and stuff. This is where I'm out. So obviously I know why the tiptoes are a thing, but realistically it's very much promoting bad habits. Should you ever encourage squatting on your tiptoes? I'm probably going to say no. A lot of people have a natural tendency to shift their weight forward with the squat anyway. This is just encouraging that, and we don't want to see that. Again, with a squat, midfoot, big toe, little toe, heel. That's your kind of reference point of pressure. Place pressure on those 3 points. Helps evenly distribute your weight across the foot, thus allowing you to place the pressure on the midfoot. I know that obviously I've said this before, the common cue is heels. That's just like a beginner cue because we'd rather you press on the heels than the toes. In reality, it should actually be the midfoot. Again, another movement I'm not sure I would include. Range of motion is very limited. Is it really doing a mass amount? Questionable. And realistically, do you need to place the emphasis of an entire workout on the adductors? Probably not. To be honest, that's like me saying I'm going to do a bicep only workout. It's not really necessary. Excessive volume. To be honest, of all the movements we're seeing here, this is going to be the one I would actually favour when looking at emphasising the adductors themselves due to the range of motion we're going through. It's definitely a first or a last movement sort of thing, but other than that, it's quite a disappointing workout, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I feel like these workouts can often be disappointing because of marketing demands to some extent. Simple and effective is what I prefer. Yeah, sure, it doesn't look as cool, it doesn't look as flashy. Are your goals to do a cool looking workout, or are they to optimize your results? So it's basically a glute dominant workout, it seems, based on the holy booty burn. I wish my booty would burn, but unfortunately it is dead. Gone but never forgotten, RIP. So the pin squats basically. Again, do I think they're a viable movement? Yeah, I think pin squats are okay. For most people, I do prefer just a regular squat, but the pin squat does have a place, especially when looking at weak point specific training. So if you are weak at certain points in the movement, you would perhaps place the pin slightly below that portion in which you're weak to help you target and spend more time in that weaker portion. Might allow you to overload a bit further too. Jump squats. The knees are caving quite a lot. You see, there's a lot of pressure on the inside of a foot here. Again, we don't really want that. That's where we kind of speak about external rotation of the hips. And not only that, spreading the floor. It kind of does what it says on the tin, you know. Get your feet and try and separate them apart by spreading the floor. Thus, obviously helping bring the glutes into a bit more, which is likely what you want to achieve if your workout is titled Holy Booty Burn. Train to feel good, train to relieve stress, train to help your mental health. Good message. No, I do appreciate that. You know, obviously I'm very big on the whole mental health side of things here. I do understand the benefits of training for mental health. I've said this so many times before, but training is one of the few aspects of your life that you can directly control the progress you make. You can give it your all at a job, you can go in, work silly hours, stupid hard, but you're not guaranteed a promotion. You go into the gym, you want to achieve results, you work harder, you eat better, you recover better. You're not achieving results? Do one, if not all of them, even better. You don't really get that control over a lot of other aspects in life, so this is why I think training is such an aid to mental health for a lot of people. So okay, this is an interesting one, because I know a few people might be questioning, oh, but Harry, she's not going the whole way back. She could probably get her hand further back. In fairness, I'm actually going to back her here, and I'll tell you why. When you are trying to place great emphasis on the lats, let's say you're doing a lat biased row, like so, to bias the lats, you must keep the elbow and upper arm close to the body. You're like, fantastic, she's doing that here, but what about the rest of the range of motion? The peak contraction of the lats is when the elbow and upper arm is in line with the body. That is peak contraction of the lats. As soon as the elbow comes behind the body, you're now bringing the muscles of the mid-back, not the lats. Ideally, you want to go a little bit higher. The range of motion, you're barely breaking 90. The big thing that will influence the muscles in the tricep that you're placing great emphasis on, because obviously there are 3 muscles in the tricep, tri meaning 3, sep meaning head, so 3 heads of the tricep. So you've got the long head, which is the one on the kind of underarm here. You've got the medial head, which is kind of the beef down here near the elbow, the underneath bit, and then the lateral head being the short head, which is the stumpy bit there. The thing that ultimately determine which head you're placing greater emphasis on is going to be not your wrist positioning, but your upper arm positioning, so where your arm actually is. Is it closer to the body? Is it further away from the body? Whatever it may be, that's what will determine the emphasis rather than where your wrists are. Supinated, neutral, pronated, wherever it may be. So I respect the no shoes on the squat. That's a long pause, but the depth isn't there, you see. Again, I don't know if it's the angle. It is looking like depth maybe it could be. It's really hard to tell from this angle. The pause squat's a great variation of the squat. I like it a lot for technical adjustments. So if you are struggling with the technique of a squat, movements like the pause squat and the tempo squat that essentially allow you to be in that rep or in that movement for a longer period of time, I think are pretty solid. This goblet squat is questionable. It's like a squat pulse to some degree. You see how the range of motion is limited. She's getting pretty decent depth, but she's not coming the whole way up. She's kind of half repping up. She's likely doing that because it will enhance how much it hurts, essentially. Because you are under that tension for a pretty significant period of time without any arguably rest periods at the top where you're kind of between reps, it will burn muscles like the quads quite significantly. So it's almost like a trick to make it feel like it's doing more because it's hurting more. Realistically, you want to go through a full range of motion here, and you want to try and bump up the weight or the reps as often as possible. Ideally every session, i.e. every week perhaps. Half rep pulsing, yes, it will hurt. No, it's not more effective. Arguably it's actually less effective. Yeah, again, that's not really a thing. When you are essentially pressing away from the center line of the body, you're making the movement unnecessarily hard, and you're actually arguably placing quite a lot of unnecessary strain on the shoulders as well. So yeah, the Arnold press is a movement in which you start here, you go up and you come together, but when you're going up and out, are you then limiting potential peak contraction of the shoulders? Potentially. Are you also placing a bit of additional and unnecessary strain on the shoulders and perhaps the rotator cuffs, thus leading to a higher likelihood of injury or potential injury? Perhaps. Yeah, there's a bit of momentum here, but I'm not against it. I think a bit of momentum on heavy row movements can help you shift a bit more weight. What's that, a 30 kilo dumbbell? Bloody hell, that's impressive. Again, provided it's controlled and intentional momentum. Again, but a solid movement. I love the dumbbell row. I think it's fantastic. This is a bit of a dead bicep movement. Going to be straight with you. A bit of a dead bicep movement. Range of motion very limited. As you see, she can't fully stretch the muscle. It's a half rep essentially. Because of where the hands are placed on the dumbbell, that's going to limit how much weight she can lift. It's not a very stable position. It's not a very nice position for the wrist or the hands. As you see, her fingers are actually pulling back quite significantly. You're not going to go too heavy on that. If you can't go particularly heavy, again, strength is relative. Is that not going to potentially limit your ability to grow due to the lack of progressive overload and the lower progressive overload ceiling, we'll say? The cable fly. The bodybuilder in me loves it. and it is a great movement. I much prefer cable fly variations over dumbbell fly variations, because with the dumbbell fly, the point of tension is pretty limited. You get good stretch, but you get to about halfway up, maybe a bit further, and gravity is no longer working against the dumbbell in a manner that emphasizes the pecs. Therefore, I much rather cable variations in which the tension is consistent throughout the entire range of motion. So from stretch to peak contraction, there's always tension, and we love it. That's why I think cable machines are actually wildly underrated. Ignore the buzzing in the background. Someone over there is doing some drilling or something, like in a house near me, and it's quite loud. I apologise. The reverse grip tricep pushdown follows on from what I said with the rope. The positioning of the wrists, like so, does not have any impact on how it's working the tricep, like whatsoever. It does not impact which head is biasing, not at all. All this is going to do is essentially reduce the amount of weight you can lift due to it being a weaker position. If it reduces the amount of weight you can lift without changing how the muscle is working and altering the biomechanics of the movement enough to then change how the muscle is working or the muscles are working, is it worth doing? I need a bin, like a big bin, quite like here. So when this happens, I could just bin. So yeah, no, overhand grip for a pushdown, much better than underhand grip because you can lift more weight. It's a typical at-home booty workout, bodyweight exercises. I'm not going to go through it too much. What we're going to actually do is we're going to talk about the caption here. Bodyweight movements are fantastic. I do back it, and you can yield results with bodyweight movements. TUT being time under tension, of all methods that kind of fall into building muscle, it is one of the least important. Mechanical tension is far superior to time under tension. Obviously, mechanical tension refers to progressive overload, lifting more and doing more than you did the week before. But when you are limited to bodyweight movements, increasing the time under tension does have a place because you can only increase a rep so far. So obviously, you want to make the movements harder. And you can do that by introducing variations, pauses at the top, whatever it may be. And time under tension is a way of doing so, and it will obviously make the movement harder, and it may potentially yield better results than if you were to do the same movement with the same reps at a much faster tempo. In most cases, if you can, just try and find some additional weight that you can add some additional resistance. Even a band would be fantastic if you do have one of those, because then you can change it from essentially a bodyweight movement to a resistance-based movement, which then brings in a bit more of a mechanical tension focus because you can then progressively overload it. Also, I've left all these clips as real time so you can see exactly how slow I'm taking each and every rep whilst focusing on mind-to-muscle connection. Again, I did speak about this in the last video, and I'm going to speak about it again. Mind-muscle connection is not really a thing, unfortunately. I'm going to be honest, I see a lot of dudes actually say, oh, I like to squat 60 kilos because I like to focus on mind-muscle connection so I don't go heavier than that. It's mad. You squat 60 kilos because obviously you want to focus on mind-muscle connection, but you don't do that for bench press. You don't do that for any upper body movements. It's only the lower body ones. That's actually mad. You think about it. It's mad. I wonder why that is. Is it because you don't want to be known as the man that's skipping leg day, but you also don't really want to do legs? So you do a lazy leg day in which you don't really have to try because you're limiting how much weight you can lift, even though you're probably a lot stronger than that, claiming it's mind-muscle connection work, when in reality, it may well just be a lazy leg day, so you're not known as the guy that skips leg day. Change my mind. Let's say you're squatting. You say, I like squats, but I can't really feel my quads working. It's like, well, just because you can't feel them doesn't mean they aren't. If your quads weren't working, you couldn't do a squat. So obviously the squat includes knee extension, where you straighten the leg. You cannot extend the knee without quads. The quads are what drive knee extension. So just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not doing anything. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. Hopefully you got a few tips and tricks from this video, and hopefully you learned a thing or two. But now we must very quickly crack on with comment question of the week. Are hip abduction machines useful or a waste of time? So hip abduction being the one where you go like that out, glute dominant. I think they're a great machine. Would I treat them as a primary movement and would I prioritize them in the workout over compound movements perhaps? No. Would I include them? Absolutely. Personally, I would probably include them either at the start of the workout as like a first isolation before going on to your primary work as a means of ensuring that the glutes are warmed up and everything's moving properly, or at the very end of your workout being obviously the final isolation, so what I would have put as like a tier 3 movement in the TFNL tier system, which is linked down below. But no, I do think they're a fantastic movement. The machine is pretty solid. I respect it. I do it myself. Just make sure you're going heavy. You can shift a fair amount of weight on it. Technique's obviously going to be the priority, but don't be scared to lift some solid weight because I guarantee you're a lot stronger than you think you are. And that applies both inside and outside of the gym. I think you should probably give yourself a lot more credit than you do. But that's it. That is a video. If you like this video and my feathery headwear, let me know you like the video by dropping a like on the video. because obviously 750 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal. We're going to smash it. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, because like I said, we are tickling 30k, which is bloody amazing. If you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week, and I shall do so. Thank you for tolerating my endless waffle. Thank you for tolerating my anticlimactic headwear, we'll say, and thank you for tolerating the video.